Standing by for lander separation.
Marco Bravo shows carrier interruption, but still in lock.
Lander separation commanded. Altitude 600 meters. Gravity turn. Altitude 400 meters. 300 meters. 200 meters. 80 meters. 60 meters. InSight has passed through peak deceleration. Telemetry shows the spacecraft saw about 8 Gs.
Marco Alpha and Marco Bravo maintain lock.
Radio science reports carrier detected.
17 meters. Standing by for touchdown.
So, several different communications coming in.
InSight is now traveling at a velocity of 2,000 meters per second.
Seems to have passed this very critical point of peak heating, peak deceleration. The next big step is parachute inflation.
And you can see that on our timeline on the bottom of the screen. The next event is parachute deploy.
InSight is now traveling at 1,000 meters per second. Once InSight slows to about 400 meters per second, it will deploy its 12-meter diameter supersonic parachute. The parachute will deploy nominally at about Mach 1.7.
Just erupted.
Fabulous, fabulous.
Standing by for parachute deploy.
Christine, you did great. Tim Prizer, one of the key designers at Lockheed. Sandy Krasner, what a great team. This is really fabulous.
Radio science reports sudden change in Doppler.
Ground stations are observing signals consistent with parachute deploy.
Marco Alpha, Marco Bravo maintain lock status.
What a relief.
Telemetry shows parachute deployment. Radar powered on.
Times Square. Boy, people are weathering the rain to see this.
Heat shield separation commanded.
This is really good news so far.
It's fantastic.
They can't help.
I'm on pins and needles.
We have radar activation, where the radar is beginning to search for the ground. Once the radar locks on the ground and InSight is about 1 kilometer above the surface, the lander will separate from the backshell and begin terminal descent using its 12 descent engines.
This is the hardest part. Getting to the surface of Mars is very hard. This thing has a lot more to do, though. There's a lot more to go on both today and the days that follow before the science can begin. But just getting a vehicle from Earth to the surface of Mars is no mean feat.
And Rob, could you talk about that? I mean, just the mere accomplishment here that we're seeing.
Altitude convergence, the radar has locked on the ground.
Yes.
Standing by for lander separation.
Carrier interruption on Marco Alpha and Marco Bravo.
Impulses, almost like little bullets that keep the vehicle going at a
Lander separation commanded. Altitude 600 meters.
It's still going over 5
Gravity
miles
turn.
an hour, so those
Altitude
legs
400
feel a fair amount
meters.
of crush. We still don't know the state of the vehicle right now. We need to
300
look to make
meters.
sure there are no rocks nearby. The solar panels will be just in
200 meters.
In about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll
80 meters.
Open up. They're waiting for the dust to settle.
60 meters.
There's certainly a lot of
50
dust
meters.
in the air
Constant
around the
velocity.
vehicle right now, which is now
37
at
meters.
So we're
30 meters.
After
20
touchdown,
meters.
It waits
17 meters.
a
Standing
couple
by
of
for
minutes
touchdown.
to give us an X-band beep. And so we are standing by for that. It's a communication that comes directly to Earth from InSight.
Yes, and it goes to the Deep Space Network. There's also something that
Touchdown
might be
confirmed.
Just a couple minutes after the end. So we're standing by hoping to see that. But if that doesn't happen, we'll certainly get more images later in the Odyssey.
Waiting for it.
Wow.
That is fantastic.
old.
No, it doesn't, Rob. Control room
relief.
just erupted from InSight itself. InSight is taking a
Fabulous,
Shaking
fabulous.
hands with the Marcos team there.
Christine, you did great. Tim Preiser, one of the key designers at Lockheed.
The spacecraft, right in front of the lander. This is a
Sandy
camera
Krause,
that
we've got a great team.
to figure out, is this a good space? Is it a good place to put down your instruments?
This is really fabulous.
Fantastic there. Send that image to the Marcos. The Marcos in turn will relay it back down to Earth.
That's correct. They got it. Oh, now.
Lots of fist bumping going on in there.
There it is. Wow.
What a relief. We've cut over to the camera over in Times Square. Boy, people are weathering the rain to see this.
So it's great. I don't see a lot of.
Let's explain that image. Now, this image has a dust cover on top of it.
We have lost the signal from Marco.
You can see potentially a lot of.
Radio science
They can't.
reports
It might be on the camera.
for UHF.
Yay, Marco. This is the hardest part. Getting to the surface of Mars is very hard. This thing has a lot more to do, though. There's a lot more to go on both today and the days that follow before the science can begin. But just getting a vehicle from Earth to the surface of Mars is no mean feat.
Could you talk about that? I mean, just the mere accomplishment here that we're seeing.
You have to understand that this vehicle is very complicated. It uses 12 engines. Each of those engines are pulsed 10 times a second, producing these little tiny impulses, almost like little bullets that keep the vehicle going at a constant velocity as it approaches the ground, and still going over 5 miles an hour. So those legs feel a fair amount of crush. We still don't know the state of the vehicle right now. We need to look to make sure there are no rocks nearby. The solar panels will be in just a few, in about 5 to 10 minutes, will begin to open up. They're waiting for the dust to settle, because the dust was certainly a lot of dust being lifted in the air around the vehicle right now, which is now just settling.
So we're standing by after touchdown. It waits a couple of minutes to give us an X-band beep. And so we are standing by for that. It's a communication that comes directly to Earth from InSight.
Yes, and it goes to the Deep Space Network. There's also something that might be happening now, if we're very lucky. InSight might be able to relay an image or a partial image taken just a couple minutes after landing. So I'm standing by hoping to see that. But if that doesn't happen, we'll certainly get more images later in our Odyssey pass in about 5 hours.
We see Bruce Banner
waiting
for it. I don't know if they see it yet.
They're waiting. That's Justin Mackey and Bruce Banner looking carefully at the cameras to see what they might see.
Waiting for it. I don't know if they see
waiting for
it
the
yet.
image to come back.
So this is the first image from InSight itself. InSight is taking a picture with one of its 2 cameras. It's probably a view of what's directly in front of the spacecraft, right in front of the lander. This is a camera that it would be using to figure out, is this a good space? Is it a good place to put down our instruments? So it is going to take an image and send that image to the Marcos. The Marcos in turn will relay it back down to Earth.
That's correct. They got it. Oh, now let's just wait. Let's see what they come. There it is. Whoa, right. That's correct. They got it. Oh, now let's just wait. Let's see what they come. There it is. Whoa, right. They got it. So it's great. I don't see a lot of.
Now this image has a dust cover on top of it.
EDLCom, we have lots of signal from Marco.
Potentially a lot of
Radio science reports
We have lots of signal from Marco.
so we don't know what I'm looking at.
Radio science reports
Yay, Marco!
Radio science reports
Yay, Marco! Oh, there it is. You can see a better view. You can see that really is debris. And there's the horizon back there, the bluish sky. That's part of the lander deck. Oh, there it is. You can see a better view. I can't take out, but it looks like there's not a lot of rocks in the field of view. But those dots you see there are very likely to be dust particles on the lens, the dust cover, which will be removed after removal.
Another shot.
Yes, they're very likely to be dust particles and a better, clear view after the dust cover. So, InSight's, CubeSat's relay communication job is done. They're now flying on. They're now taking pictures back and forth Mars. Hopefully, MRO, which flew overhead, might have been lucky enough to capture the descent of this InSight lander under its parachute. While this was going on, MRO was flying overhead, recording the data, also monitoring the transactions, and recording every bit of signal through it. But it also had the ability to take a picture. Maybe like we did with Phoenix, and later for Curiosity rover, we might be able to see the parachute. But it also had the ability to take a picture.
We are standing by now for that X-band feed.
Yes. And later for
InSight phoning home saying, I'm here and I'm okay. We are standing by now for that X-band feed.
Yes. And later for
InSight phoning home saying, I'm here and I'm okay. We are standing by now for that X-band feed.
and later for
InSight phoning home saying, I'm here and I'm okay. We are standing by now for that X-band feed. InSight phoning home saying, I'm here and I'm okay. We are standing by now for that X-band feed. InSight phoning home saying, I'm here and I'm okay. We are standing by now for that X-band feed.
System based on InSight core to the DSN and X-band.
Radio science reports X-band carrier detected.
The DSN and X-band. DSN and X-band radio science. That's why the X-band.
Radio science reports X-band carrier detected.
The DSN and X-band.
Copy that. Thank you.
Radio science. That's why the X-band.
Radio science reports X-band carrier detected.
Got the beep. This was perfect case scenario.
This is what we really hoped and imagined in our mind's eye. Though we spend most of our looking and visualizing all these bad things can happen. Sometimes things work out in your favor. And we'll look very carefully at the data to see what might have, though we spend most of our how well it went, and visualizing all these bad things look like sometimes things work out in your favor. We'll have to see get more data, how well things go, and as the vehicle proceeds, the solar panels being deployed. Hopefully we're not on a tilt. It doesn't look like we are, but right from the image. But solar panels will be deployed safely, we hope, and we'll get confirmation of that around 5 o'clock local right from the image in about 4.5 hours.
And this is such a different feed in that because of the one-way light time, there is no way that any of these engineers could possibly control the vehicle. It all has to be done in commands and software.
We have to train it to do this work on its own.
Radio science reports nominal carrier 30 seconds past the first acquisition. Radio science nominal on the surface. Nominal carrier
So the vehicle is completely nominal, reported nominal. It's happy. The lander is not complaining. We had a way to tell us if it was unhappy, and it wasn't. It's not unhappy. It's in a normal mode, and so it's going to chug along for the rest of the afternoon on Mars and finish the activities.
Well, Rob, I know you're anxious to get in and congratulate the crew. Thank you so much for sitting here and helping us out to explain EDM. Rob, I know you're anxious to get in. Let me go and congratulate the crew. Thank you so much for sitting here and helping us out to explain EDM. Rob, I know you're anxious to get in. Let me go and congratulate the crew. Thank you so much for sitting here and helping us out to explain EDM. Rob, I know you're anxious to get in. Let me go and congratulate the crew.
Well, let's get through December. For the rest of when we think about what's happening next, December 3rd, we're launching another American astronaut. So it's going to be a big achievement. For the rest of think about what's happening next.
MRO Electra on InSight up. Focal loop recording completed at 20:04:34.
Going forward from there,
MRO Electra on InSight up. Focal loop recording completed at 20:04:34.
and then we've got Osiris Rex that will be in orbit around Bennu shortly after Christmas. So that's no shortage of exciting things. And then on January 1st, we're going to fly the New Horizons, which for people who are not aware of that mission, no shortage of Pluto back in 2014 gave us stunning images and data and information science on Pluto. Now that mission is still going strong. So it's in what we call the Kuiper belt now, which is an asteroid belt well beyond Pluto, and it's going to be taking images of Ultima, which is called Kuiper belt, which we have never been able to go out there and take images of anything at close range before. And now so you ask what's happening next. I guess we have right now at NASA there is more underway. So probably than I don't know how many. I guess it's like we have and all of a sudden all these activities at once. So we're busy. We're going to be working through the holiday. A lot of discoveries to be made.
All right, as we had promised, we said we'd bring back the administrator to get your take on what was it like to be in that control room. Jim, what was it like?
Well, I'll tell you, it was intense, and you could feel the emotion. It was very, very quiet when it was time to be quiet, and of course very celebratory with every little new piece of information that was received. It's very different being here than watching it on TV. By far, I can tell you that for sure. Now that I've experienced both. And then, of course, you know, what's amazing is as soon as it was over, I got a call on my cell phone, and it was, the phone number was all zero. And whenever I get a phone call that's all zeros, it's got to be what's amazing important. As soon as I answered it, it was the vice president. He watched the whole thing. He is absolutely ecstatic about our program. As you're aware, he's the chairman of the National Space Council, and he's been, of course, a keen advocate for what we do. To have him call within seconds of mission success is tremendous. And just so everybody knows, he wants me to say congratulations to everybody here at NASA and all of our crew partners and everybody who has contributed. Just so everybody knows what an amazing day. To say congratulations.
It is an amazing accomplishment in that this is something that is happening millions and millions and millions of miles away, and these people are able to do it.
Incredible. And what's fascinating is the whole time I'm watching it, I'm thinking every milestone is something that happened 8 minutes ago, because that's the time lag to get a signal from Mars to Earth. And so it's kind of every milestone. You know, it's exciting, but then you have to step back and realize that this has already occurred in history. And so it's a unique experience, incredible. And just the enthusiasm here is incredible.
So what's for the future? Looking ahead, 2020?
Well, let's get through December. So for the rest of we think about what's happening next. December 3rd, we're launching another American astronaut to the International Space Station. So that's going to be a big achievement, and it's going to be on a Russian Soyuz rocket that the last time we launched a human was not successful. It was scary, but we figured out what the problem is. We're moving forward, and now we've got that underway December 3rd. Going forward from there, we're going to get the first science data back from the Parker Solar Probe on December 7th. So that's not too far away either. And then we've got Osiris Rex that will be in orbit around Bennu shortly after Christmas. So no shortage of exciting things. And then on January 1st, we're going to fly the New Horizons mission, which, for people who are not aware, that's the mission that went to Pluto back in 2014, gave us stunning images and data and information science on Pluto. And now that mission is still going strong. It's in what we call the Kuiper belt now, which is an asteroid belt well beyond Pluto, and it's going to be taking images of Ultima Thule, which is an object in the Kuiper belt, which we have never been able to go out there and take images of anything at close range before, and now we're doing it. So you ask what's happening next?
I'm sorry I asked.
we have, right now at NASA, there is more underway, probably than, I don't know how many years passed, but it's like, there's a drought, and then all of a sudden there's all these activities all at once. So we're busy. We're going to be working through the holiday, but a lot of amazing discoveries to be made, and we're looking forward to it.
It's so funny because our Ask NASA question you basically answered is, does the success of NASA InSight influence the timeline for future manned lunar or Mars missions?
Well, certainly everything we learn about Mars at this point is going to help us understand how to do in-situ resource utilization. So InSight could actually provide some really good information about whether or not there's liquid water on Mars, and maybe even where it is and how to get to it. We strongly believe that there's liquid water 10 kilometers under the surface of Mars. So the key is, the answer is yes. The more we learn, the more we're able to achieve. And so to get to Mars, yes. But the lunar missions, the President's first space policy directive is to go to the moon, to go sustainably with international and commercial partners. So when we say sustainably, that means we're going to have reusability built into the system. And we're going to test and prove technologies at the moon that ultimately we can replicate at Mars. So we're going to retire risk, prove human physiology at the moon, which is only a 3-day journey, which means if something goes wrong, you can get home safely. We saw that with Apollo 13. But we need to use the moon as a proving ground to accelerate our path to Mars. In the meantime, we're doing missions like InSight to learn as much about Mars as possible. InSight is going to help us understand really asteroid impacts as well, because it's got a seismometer, which is going to help us know how often is Mars getting impacted with asteroids. And if we're going to send humans there, it'd be important to know if those humans are going to experience asteroid impacts. So,
and that's pretty much our goal, is always learn from our missions and build upon those missions.
One after another. And NASA has a long history of doing just amazing work in building on its past successes and, in fact, its past failures.
That's true. And so, Marco,
I'll tell you, what an amazing time to be at the helm of this extraordinary agency.
Well, we are so glad that you are here to share it with us.
Well,
thanks for joining us.
A true pleasure. Thank you.
All right, and I'm sure you need to go in there and celebrate with those folks, but thank you for stepping out for us.
Absolutely. Thank you
so
much.
All right, take care. Now, Mars exploration is cool stuff, but if you're not convinced just yet, just talk to the InSight scientists and engineers. No one conveys the excitement more than the people who actually work on the mission. So earlier this year, the outreach team filled up a van and went to 15 California cities. They called it the InSight Roadshow.
So we're here in San Francisco at the Exploratorium, and this is part of InSight's Roadshow. Since it's the first interplanetary mission we've ever launched from California, we're actually doing a lot of public engagement activities along California.
And we're just talking to the public and talking to them about InSight and getting them excited and sort of sharing information that they probably wouldn't get just from a website.
We have Mars globes and touchables kits. We have replica of the actual launch vehicle that's going to be taking InSight to Mars. We have a selfie station with fun props. People can take pictures. Children really, really like Mars.
We have a jump station where we invite kids to come in and jump. We have a little seismometer on the floor which measures ground motion. So if students can come and jump next to it, they can actually see their recording on the screen and they make their own quake.
I've had people come to me and say, this is the most I've ever understood about a space mission. I'm so happy I came because now I understand what you're doing, I understand why it's important, and I'm really excited.
You kind of imagine how it looks, but seeing it in person actually puts it in perspective. She was able to explain a lot of what happens, the cameras, what goes into the ground. It's a great exhibit, both for myself and also for kids that want to learn about Mars.
Of what we can miniaturize and what we can put on these CubeSats. But this is a great, a great
Okay, we want you to meet another Mars veteran here at JPL, our director, Mike Watkins. You were a mission manager for Curiosity.
Absolutely. I think this is the fifth Mars mission I've worked on.
Really?
Fifth Mars lander. So maybe we're getting the hang of it finally.
Does it ever get better? I mean, does it get old? It's always the same?
It doesn't. I mean, I think we're just as nervous every time. You know, the whole landing sequence, and it's just such a crazy time, and you know, we can't do anything. It's this feeling of helplessness, right? Because the spacecraft's on its own, and everything we could do, we did a day ago, and so I think you just always have that nervousness. But you know, we have confidence in the team, we have confidence in the engineers and scientists that they did everything that they could do, and you have to put it in their hands.
And it's our 8th successful landing, so we learn from this, we learn a little more, we do it better the next time, pretty much.
Absolutely, and you know, we have had one failure. We learned from the failures too. So in fact, we learned from all the failures from all the missions, even if they're not JPL missions or NASA missions. Each one of them tells you a little something, an extra test you should do, an extra thing you should guard against, you know, in the Mars atmosphere or on touchdown. And so we've learned from all of these, and luckily we've recently been very successful.
And we're always trying something new. We're always trying to learn something new. We had a situation this time. Odyssey couldn't be in place to give us bent pipe communications. And so Marco came about.
Oh, the Marco is just an incredible success story. You know, exactly as you said, we couldn't have Mars Odyssey do the real-time bent pipe for the EDL events. We would have had to wait a couple of hours and have the replay from Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. So we embarked on this kind of crazy idea to build these 2 little CubeSats. And you know, CubeSats are something that high school kids can build these days, but they go up and they go around the Earth. They go around the Earth.
Right.
These are the first interplanetary CubeSats. First time we've ever seen CubeSats outside the Earth's orbit. And their sole purpose was to do the relay. So they have this very cool X-band planar flat antenna there, and they relayed the UHF signals in real time for us, and it was just amazing. It's built by a lot of early career folks here at JPL with a little bit of adult supervision. But no, the engineers, they just did a fantastic job on Marco. It exceeded all of our wildest expectations. They worked perfectly. We built 2 because we thought maybe one will get there. They both got there. They both worked. It's just a great tribute to the Marco team. You saw them in there. They had their special black shirts. Just a fantastic thing. And not only did it work for this mission, but I think it opens up the door for more small missions like that. You know, we could actually put cameras on them and put other instruments on them. They're much less expensive. So there's, I think, a whole new door. We just opened a door to a new class of planetary science thanks to the Marcos. And so
for the CubeSats, they were just made with off-the-shelf parts.
You know, some combination of off-the-shelf parts and some new stuff that we did. We had to build a special radio, of course, because it has to talk to the Deep Space Network. The antennas are a little bit new technology, but a lot of the stuff is pretty standard stuff that you could replicate at much lower cost.
So what do you think in terms of the future, that other missions will be carrying their own relays and not having to depend on a bent pipe from a orbiter?
You know, they might carry relays. They might actually carry scientific instrumentation. You know, they can do more than just do relay. They can actually take pictures. You know, they could do spectrometry. They could do lots of other stuff that we'd like to do with orbiters. And so there's a chance we could send them to Venus. We could send them to asteroids. We could send them to Mars. I mean, there's lots of stuff we can do, and I think we're just learning the capability of what we can miniaturize and what we can put on these CubeSats. But this is a great, you know, a great first effort.
Absolutely. Well, we have one question for you. It's a social media question from George K., age 9, from the UK. How long did it take to plan and build this mission, InSight?
Well, that's a great question. So I have 2 answers to that. InSight itself, typically our missions take from the time we start the mission to the time we launch it. It's about 4 to 5 years. In the case of InSight, two things happen. One to our advantage and one not to our advantage. The first is we had a lot of heritage from a mission called Phoenix. So a lot of the design work had already been done because it was done for this mission Phoenix, even before that for Mars Polar Lander. So a lot of the basic design we kind of inherited for this mission. On the other hand, we had a little bit of bad luck in that the instruments, the seismometer is so unbelievably precise. It's so incredibly accurate and hard to build that we couldn't quite get it ready. So we're doing that in partnership with the French and a lot of other countries in Europe, including the UK and Switzerland and other folks. We couldn't quite get that ready to go for launch. So we had to actually wait 2 years. and took an extra 2 years then because of that. So Mars and the Earth are only lined up to launch about every 26 months, so we had to wait another 26 months. So that took us a little bit longer.
Well, speaking of the internationals, that's a perfect segue for where we're going next. Throughout this program, we've been trying to introduce you to the people behind the scenes, and for the InSight mission, it requires that we go beyond our borders. This is truly an international mission. Let me introduce you to Domenico Giardini, a Swiss-Italian scientist who studies earthquakes and Marsquakes.
Some of us have been in this mission for 20 years. It's a lifetime project. I'm Domenico Giardini. I'm an Italian living in Switzerland. I work on earthquakes, and therefore I will work on Marsquakes. I'm a professor at university. Seismic risk, seismic hazard are my main field of applications. InSight is a mission which is geared to measure the physical parameters that help us to characterize the interior.
Thanks for joining us.
There are two main reasons why it's important to do by international cooperation. There is a big motivation coming from all the different parts to complete it, and the community grows much faster and the knowledge grows much faster. The Swiss role in this mission to deliver the electronics for the seismometer, and we will provide daily routine analysis and check if there are seismic events or meteoritic impact in the planet itself. This is what our students will work on, how the planet develops and what is the future. And that has a direct relevance on how we understand about the Earth. It's so interesting.
And that partnership goes far beyond individual scientists. Take a look at this. It is a picture of the calibration tool on the deck of the InSight lander. It's what the team uses to calibrate the cameras on Mars. And notice the flags and logos. It's recognition of our international partnerships with the French government space agency, CNES, and also the German Aerospace Center, DLR. And it is my pleasure to welcome SAIS Project Manager Philippe Ledet from CNES and Executive Board Member Hans-Jörg Dietz from DLR. So I can't imagine a better day.
Oh, yes.
What was your reaction?
So I am very enthusiastic and very grateful for all the people of the mission, and also my thoughts are going to the team, the CNES team, and to the science team, to Bruce Bannert and to Philippe Lognone. Now we have a marvelous picture of the ground, and now the work to deploy the seismometer is beginning. So a new adventure in the best conditions. Thank you for that.
Definitely a new adventure. Hans-Jörg, what's your feeling? The HP Cube is on that deck. It will be ready to go.
Yeah, it's now a job now. But first of all, I'd like to congratulate our partners here in the US. And it was a great day and a great job they did. It's not easy to land on Mars. That's what we know. And it's a dream for me as well. Because the first time that we land on Mars with an instrument, at least as I has experienced it, and so it's a great day. And it was really exciting so far. Now the job starts for us.
Well, it's funny, Philippe, you had once said you're a musician as well. He plays jazz. You see exploration and music very similar.
Yeah,
How's that?
Very similar.